Welcome back to our series on business resilience. Business resilience being our business's capacity to withstand change and to recover quickly when something goes wrong. In the first of our sessions, I'm going to be looking at you at something I call the roadmap. Now, the roadmap is incredibly straightforward. It is as simple as this. I have a plan. I know where I'm going. This is where you've looked ahead maybe 5 years, maybe 1 year, maybe only 1 month, depending on where your head is and where your business is and where you are. But I've looked ahead. I know where I want to get to. This is super important because if you remember, I've described business resilience as a bit like being on a path and being pulled off that path and how able we are to snap back to it. Well, if you don't have a path to follow, how do you know whether you've gone off your path or not? So here's a fundamental one. I have a plan. If you don't have a plan, make your plan. It's so important to business resilience. It's the only way we can start to measure whether we are resilient to change is by knowing where we wanted to be in the first place. Once you have your plan, the next thing to be able to say is, I follow my plan. Not only do I have a plan, but I also am able to walk along that path. You know, I've said what I want to do. I am now walking the walk. This is important too, because if you're able to say this, you're able to say, not only do I know where I'm going, but I am taking steps to get closer to it. Surely this is the most direct way to the goal that we've set ourselves. The question then is, do we know whether we're taking steps towards it? On a good day, it's very easy to come into the office or go out to work and get your work done and say, today's been a good day. I have done what I needed to do to get closer to my end goal. But honestly, how often does that happen? More often than not, for me, I find that I get into the office and then something happens that I wasn't expecting. And it's really difficult by the end of the week to say, I've stuck to my plan. Not my plan for the day, but my plan for the business, my plan for the month, my plan for the year. Am I getting closer to where I want to be in 5 years' time? And so I think it's really important to stop and reflect. Am I still where I want to be? Because it's one thing to say, I'm walking the walk, I'm on the path. But it's another thing to be able to look back over the last week, month, year, and say, you know, I said I was walking the walk. Well, here we go. Here's proof. I did it. This is what I said I would do. This is what I actually did. They're the same. Or maybe they're not the same. Maybe it's this is what I wanted to do and this is what I actually achieved. They're different. This is so important because there will be things like this. And when you look at what you haven't achieved, you can start making changes so that it's easier to achieve it in the future. And this is what improves business resilience. This is what builds your capacity to withstand change. It is looking back at what you haven't done and thinking, how can I make changes that will make it easier to achieve what I want to do? How can I make it easier to stay on my path, even though the business environment is changing around me? So I have a plan, I follow my plan, and I review whether I have stuck to my plan. My suggestion would be that you do this quite frequently. This isn't something to be done once a year. However, if you haven't done it at all, then start with once a year and look back over the last year and what you've done. But please, 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 once you've done that, make the next goal to look back over the last month. Think, okay, this is what I want to do in the next year. This is what I need to do in the next month to achieve it. And this is my plan for the next month. Because then in 30 days' time, you can look at that and say, did I achieve it? What we've done is we've built in 12 opportunities for a review over the next year instead of just one at the end of the year. It's much easier to know you've stuck to your path if you're constantly checking whether you're still on it. I'd like to offer you a final bit of advice on following the plan, and this is something that I find amazingly helpful, and I hope that you will too. It's around accountability. It's one thing to say to yourself, I made a plan and I've stuck to my plan and look how well I've followed my plan. But it's a totally different thing, in my opinion, to go to another person and say, hey, can I show you how I've followed my plan? Can I show you where I've come away from my plan? And can I talk with you about what I want to do to get back to it? Accountability makes such a big difference. Some people can find it within themselves to sit down quietly and go, this is where I want to be, this is where I am, and I need to change that. But for me, and I think for quite a lot of innovators, it's really useful to have someone to just sense check your plans, to just sound out your ideas. Someone who can go, hey, well, last month, do you remember how you said that your path was leading us over here? Well, now you're saying it's going over there. Have you come off your path again? I think this is really helpful. And so this is where my first KPI is going to come from. KPI being that key performance indicator. Over the course of these 6 videos, I'm going to build you 6 things that you can look at to judge your business resilience. And this is the first one. The first one is, I have a plan. No, scrap that. To me, that's not good enough. The first one is, it has been this many days since I sat down with my accountability partner to look over my plan. Every part of this is important to me. First of all, we need an accountability partner. Okay, you might choose that it's yourself, and if you do, that's okay. Everyone's different as to how they want to go about this. But I have sat down and gone through my plan with my accountability partner, or myself. And how many days since I last did it? The power in this one is how many days since I last did it. That's the only thing I want you to recover. Not am I on plan, am I off plan? Because your gut will tell you whether you're doing well there, and your gut can't help but help you improve. But how many days since I last reviewed it? Because I want that number to be super low all year long. If you can keep that number low, you will be reviewing your business more. You will be building your business resilience because you will be constantly thinking, am I on the path that I want to be on? So there's the first metric for you. First of all, think, I have a plan. But then the metric is, how many days since I last reviewed my plan with my accountability partner? I hope this video has been useful, and I look forward to presenting the next 5 areas to you in the videos to come over the following weeks.